All right, veterans, in this episode, what does it mean to be a veteran-owned business and how much money can you get from the VA? Coming up next.
No information obtained from the following production is legal advice and does not create an attorney-client relationship with the Law Office IAJ, Law LLC, or any attorney or professional appearing on this program. You should consult an attorney for individualized advice regarding your own situation or specific legal concerns.
Broadcasting from Edina, Minnesota, your host, Attorney Jasper Berg. #Jasper.
Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me here on episode 3 of Veteran Vitals. I'm grateful. Hopefully the month of August is treating you well and you're staying cool wherever you might be. In today's show, I want to discuss really what it means to be a veteran and a veteran-owned business and why a veteran might want to assign the word veteran to their entity. But before I do, I saw this in the news earlier this week in the Military Times, militarytimes.com. You probably go there as well. I saw that Wounded Warriors, a group that we are familiar with, is laying off approximately 600 people. Obviously, that has detrimental impacts to the worker themselves, which is huge. Serving unemployed people and those terminated from their jobs, that is a very difficult transition for anybody, veteran or not. But the other demographic are those families and veterans that Wounded Warriors serve. So if you know somebody who is getting help or getting support from Wounded Warriors, might want to reach out to them, tap them on the shoulder, just check in with them to see how they're doing. I think that could go a long ways. But really turning to the whole idea of having a show this week, a veteran-owned business, that brings with it certain connotations, and I believe people confuse what it means to be a veteran-owned business. If you are a service member just getting out of the military and you are looking to create a career for yourself and you wanted to use veteran-owned business as a way to sell your product and service, fantastic. A great venture. And that's probably the number one reason that a veteran does want to assign the term veteran to their business. It brings in credibility, or as I like to say, integrity. There is a certain bond that us veterans have with one another, just naturally, given what we all volunteered for. And that's a significant thing. But sometimes those in our communities don't necessarily know what it means to be a veteran or are unfamiliar with what we do in our past. So it does bring credibility to those who don't necessarily have that experience, who are not part of the military family. So number one reason is probably going to be a certain threshold of credibility and integrity and honesty that I believe that the term veteran brings. The second reason, which I'm not going to spend a significant amount of time on because it's so complicated, is that a veteran sometimes wants to assign the term veteran to their entity because they are seeking government contracts or some sort of selling a product or selling a service to a municipality. And why would they want to do that? Well, in this bidding process, a request for proposal or submitting a solicitation, that's how they term it, it sometimes can go on a point system where this bid gets so many points, this bid over here gets another set of points, and you get points. One of the categories is being a veteran and having a veteran-owned business. So those who are trying to cater to that demographic, it really is a significant reason. But the third, which is probably financially a bigger benefit that a lot of veterans don't necessarily consider right out of the gates, is this opportunity for loans. Veteran loans, or as the U.S. Code uses, small business loans to veterans who own a business. Now unfortunately, this benefit is limited to two groups of veterans. Those who served in the Vietnam era, that's the term that the rule uses. And the second are those veterans who have a disability, and that disability is 30% or greater. It has nothing to do with rank. It has nothing to do with pensions or some sort of a retirement plan. It has nothing to do where you live and what kind of product or service you want to render. Those are elements, but they are not the big ticket conditions, big ticket items. It's the very first test that the veteran office uses in administering these benefits is, hey, are you a veteran coming from the Vietnam era, or are you a veteran who has this disability? So if you don't have 30% and you didn't serve in the Vietnam era, might be a reason to try to seek 30%. Because here's a answer to a lot of questions that one of the very first questions I'll usually get with veterans coming to my office, and that is, well, how much can I get? And the answer is $200,000. And where does that number come from? Well, it comes from the rule, the U.S. Code. It's written out black and white. There's really no wiggle room. It's $200,000. But I have seen veterans who can team up with other veterans. So one veteran has an entity over here. Maybe I do drywall. Another veteran over here says I do plumbing. They get together, working towards the same goal, offering a construction type service. And one veteran is able to get a dollar amount that they are looking for. This veteran wants the dollar amount that they're looking for, and they are sometimes able to create a partnership and get that $200,000 to go higher. Now, before you start second guessing this isn't a benefit exclusive to construction or those who try to cater towards construction. This can be anything. Anything. And a great example of how this can be for anything, this small business loan, catered exclusively to veterans, is that this code that I referred to earlier, which I've linked up in the video, there's a list of items or property that this loan generally is catered to. And let me just rattle off some things that a veteran who gets this loan can use to purchase these types of things. And here we go. Plant construction, or the creation of some sort of warehouse. The acquisition of land. Okay, that's a good idea. Equipment, machines, supplies, materials. So far, so good. That can mean pretty much anything. But here's what it doesn't say, which I think is significant, and some veterans lose sight of this. It does not identify labor. So can I be a veteran, be disabled, seek a small business loan? Yes, yes, and yes. But can I use that loan to pay for labor? Probably not. There are exceptions, of course, and it starts with applying for that benefit to begin with. But generally speaking, in my experience, these loans are backed with some sort of guarantee. Great. That's why we as veterans are seeking this benefit. But the loan itself is going to be secured, meaning the entity that is providing the funds, whether government or private, they want a guarantee that if that loan goes bad, they can go after that property to make up for that loss or that difference. So if I buy a warehouse and I use a loan to pay for that warehouse, business does not do well, and the bank or government entity says, we need that loan back, they can go back and take that warehouse or take that piece of equipment, etc. That's called in a nutshell, that's what a secured transaction is all about. So reason why labor is generally frowned upon, and again, there's ways around this, but the reason why labor is generally frowned upon is because, well, hey, we can't go and take a person out of that factory or out of that process and get some sort of transaction from that person based on loan dollar amounts that went to pay for their wages. Perhaps maybe a more complicated of topic or an element of what these small business loans are all about for veteran-owned businesses, but nonetheless a significant point that requires a little bit of attention by every veteran who is seeking this benefit. All right, the final point I wanted to make about these small business loans being sought by veterans, kind of dry material here, but and again, check out some of the links I'm providing in the notes. But a veteran who seeks this benefit has to meet what I'm calling the 51% rule. And what the 51% rule is all about is an entity that seeks this loan has to be owned at a minimum by a veteran who has 51% ownership in that business. So in other words, a veteran has to have a majority shareholder agreement with that entity. Now, you can have 100%, you could have 55%, 65%, etc. The majority owner just cannot be a non-veteran. So usually maybe a husband and wife or a veteran and another veteran don't have a problem with this, especially if they use specific legal documents to set up their entity in the first place, which is always highly recommended for a lot of reasons. But usually that veteran or group of veterans are not going to have too many problems proving up this 51% rule. The veteran who uses their personal account as an alter ego to maybe another business venture that they are engaging, that's the veteran who's going to fall into a category of folks who have troubles proving that, hey, I'm a majority owner of this entity, when really this entity is just your alter ego of your personal bank account and or your business partners that you are dealing with. So take a look. 51% rule, really a significant condition in this benefit. So with that, I'd like to conclude today's show with find and send pictures of any sort of veteran monument that you live by. I take inspiration from these photos. I visit them here in the Twin Cities. You'll probably see that on my website. So if you live close to one, please take a picture, send it my way, and I hope you have a great day.
Jasper thanks you for listening. Please subscribe or share this production.